The next point is this is also from Cambridge IELTS past papers, and a session doesn't have to be 10 questions. If it has 12, and it's on the 11th, 12th questions are on the next page, and you just turn yourself off after you answer the 10th question.
Right.
Then you will probably miss out, 2 marks, and that will really hurt. So when you check the paper, make sure how the number of question you have in that section. I think that could be important.
Good advice. Yeah.
The until the last minute, you really have to pay attention throughout the conversation. Just don't turn yourself off. The next graph is when you see ABC there, right? It's about men and women, but you don't know which represent men, which represent women, and that when you do 36, you need to find out which is man and which is woman, and you will lose time and you probably will miss the next answer. So what I suggest is write man for women for A, man for B, and both men and women for C. So that will make sure you won't lose time on checking out.
Yeah, it's a great advice. There are questions, that I agree. If you can make some sort of visual shortcut for yourself, you should do it, because otherwise you're going to be fumbling. The answer has already gone by. You're trying to replay it in your mind, and you'll definitely get yourself confused and lose marks. Well, that's a really good tip.
Yeah. I have one special occasion that they purposely test you 14 and 40, and actually I re-listened to that. It was really ambiguous. So if there are multiple choice for question, you can see answer A is 14, answer B is 40. Really pay attention to the tone, I guess, which is the stress. 14, they could say for T, something like that, and 49, and it could be 14 and 9. I can't really remember what was the case, but it was really tricky, and after I have to revise that question many times to make sure it really was the answer. I was really bewildered while I was listening the tape. So if there is that kind of number question and it's multiple choice, you can see 14 and 40, maybe 13, 30. So do pay attention to the end sound, 14, 40. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Hoy, I mean, just listening to these past couple of tips that you shared, you do a lot of cueing for yourself, and I think that's a really healthy strategy to have. Is you predict, not only do you try to predict what the answer is, you also try to predict areas that will give you a problem. So, like for example, cueing yourself with that little visual man, woman, or men and women, or as you just said here, I mean, you see the question has 14 and 40. Okay, you're going to cue yourself to listen carefully for either of those numbers, because if that comes up as the answer and you hear it wrong, then that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, so how I study the test is I didn't attend any class before taking the test, so the only person who can help me was myself, and so always do a test 2 times and you will find out why it was difficult. Just find it out yourself. Don't just rush through and then you think the more tests you've done, the better you will perform. It doesn't really is the case. Just try to analyze how you were fooled and how to avoid the trap. I think you can study yourself how they set up the test and the trick. Talking about listening, I have got something else to share. Okay. I don't know about other people. Actually, I get quite nervous listening to Australian accent. They say Australia as Australia, and pen as pin. I thought pin,
Yeah.
And the conversion of the vowels are pretty tricky, and I look into Wikipedia finding out how the conversion of the vowels. Before the test, I need to find out which section is about Australia, and then I'm going to pay special attention to that. I'm really nervous listening to Australian accent.
So Hoy, let's move on to the reading. What can you tell us about that?
So reading, it's I'm taking general training. I think general training it's much easier than academic module. You got 3 articles in academic modules and 4 sections in general training. And I think the shorter the article is, the easier you can get the idea about the text. It's not as deep as academic, but most likely the last section of general training is like academic module section. So I did some general training past papers, and I found it was okay, but I have a timer every time when I do the test. So I found myself I've got some time overrun when I do the last section. So, and that's why I started doing the test in academic module, and then to find out how I can answer all these questions more precisely.
So you used academic reading tests to help prep you for the final sections of the general.
Yeah. So I do double the amount of practice for reading.
Okay.
Yeah. So I try to set up a business about for reading. That's a topic I have been studying on how to read faster. So in one episode of your show, there was a guy who suggested a gentleman. I don't know whether you remember or not. His name is Tony Buzan. So he teaches you how to speed read, and usually a person can read at one spot. You can read like three words at a time. So because I have been studying about the subject, how to improve your rate of reading, so I developed a web application that can help you read faster, to train yourself with reading in a more efficient way. And if you don't mind, I mention about it.
Yeah, sure, go ahead and plug it.
The URL is www.jendous.com.
And let's just say that one more time. So it's www.jendous.com. That's Jendoux?
Yeah, correct.
It is a nice URL.
What it does is it can capture all the text, the contiguous paragraphs in a web page, and then it will form a text player for you. It plays out for you. You can adjust how many words you read at a time, and so using that application, I have doubled my reading speed.
So this is an application that you developed.
Yeah.
And in developing it, you were able to double the speed at which you read text in English.
Yeah.
But tell us a bit about why does it work? Why does it help you to speed your reading up?
Because when you read a large page of text, you spend a lot of time on sweeping through your eye from left to right, left to right, left to right. That actually takes you a lot of time from reading. What my application does is it contains a page full of text into a limited size of container, and it plays out for you, and you stay at one place, so you can read in a relaxed way. When you see a lot of text, then you're kind of reluctant to start reading it, even because it's not entertaining. It's so boring. And if the text moves itself, then it's animated, because our human eyes are naturally attracted to moving objects, and the text is moving, then it won't get so boring. That's the second point. The third point is when you're reading, sometimes there are too many lines. You could skip a line and you read to the end of a line, and then the next line you found that it doesn't really make sense with the last line you're reading. And then you just go back and forth, try to find out which line you were reading. So if you've got less lines, then you won't be worried about missing a line. So that comes to why you need a ruler while you're doing your reading test. So bring a ruler while you're reading, hide all the text below, just keep scanning through the text while you're reading. That will make sure you won't miss a line and the context is fluent. You won't make a mistake about missing lines. So you have a page full of text, and actually it's a distraction for you to read while you're reading something, and then you just capture images from outside the focus of your eye. Probably some word they have more magic power that will draw your attention from it. So use the ruler that can help you hide out everything below, because you're not going to read about it. You just focus on the current place you're reading on. If you pick up some content from somewhere else, and probably you will make a guess about the context, and it doesn't actually mean that. But
So then, as far as IELTS is concerned, is this? It sounds as though you perhaps did you preview the questions before you did the speed reading, or did you speed read and then go to the questions and back to the reading?
Yeah. So familiarize yourself with the question type first. The proper nouns like names, there is no meaning, and when I go through the name, it doesn't mean anything. It's just gone. But that actually is the most close and related to the answer. If the question is asking you different people or different places, then every time you read a place, just highlight that. By the way, you can't bring a highlighter. You must use your pencil or pen to highlight anything. So I suggest that if you spot a proper noun, just underline that, and it will really help you to locate the answer.
Okay, yeah, so that's good advice. So you're underlining things that could cue you for answers, and then your advice is specifically look for the proper nouns, because they tend to be, and that's true actually. Proper nouns are a signpost because there's no synonym for them.
Yeah.
Let me get your opinion on this. Some candidates, they have shared with me, which is you read through the questions first. And you very thoroughly underline the information that you need, and then you go I've said that wrong. You read through the questions one at a time. So you start with question one.
I tried that before.
So tell us a bit about now let me just state, in case nobody knows what we're talking about, the idea is that you read the first question, you go and find the answer. Then you read the second question, you go and find the answer. Then you read just kind of a question by question sort of approach to the exam. So what was your experience?
I tried to read the whole lot of questions, but you have to realize the capacity of your memory. You really can't remember that many questions. So my strategy is you read 2 questions at a time. If you cannot find out the answer for the first question, but you find out the content about the second question, then you know that the answer would be beforehand of the current content you are reading. Just don't be too greedy, because sometimes the question contains a lot of text, and you won't be able to remember what you have read. It's really a waste of time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, and I appreciate you sharing this alternative approach to the examination. So if people are interested in looking into Hoy's work, you can find him at jendoux.com, Jendous, and have a look at his speed reading techniques. This is all original software that he's written himself, so you can give it a bit of a test, and then maybe somebody down the road will give us some feedback on how it's helped them achieve the mark that they need on the exam. Hoy, thank you very much for sharing this wonderful information with us today, and good luck with your ambitions in the UK.
Thank you.